Everything's in the fucking way today. So, got 4 kilts on the go all at once right here. 3 of them sitting there ready, and this one is going to be the fastest to finish, so I'm going to finish it. Let's see how high I can get this thing. There. And up here so you can sort of see what's going on. Get you a view of the table. I'll end up nice and level. Not level. Why are you not level? Because this is a dollar store piece of crap. That's why. Okay. That's as close as it's going to get. Ugh. We're getting this giant ass fat guy kilt. Measured sizable for a 50 to 60 inch waist. Pockets are already on it. Everything's ready to go. It just needs all of the snap buttons. That is not difficult to do. Have to mark and punch the holes here. I'm going to show you how to measure them. With bar soap. And measuring tape. Okay, there's 3 on the bottom. There's the difficult bit. Four and a half in. There. 7. 7.5 from the bottom. There. We got a mark there. The other ones will measure 4 inches apart, heading to that one. So now we know where that one's going to be. We've got to figure out where that one's going to be. In order to do that, got to bring it over and punch the actual holes in, because they're measured with the tool. Try and show you this. Measure like that. The length. Come on, focus. Okay, the length from the edge of this cut, that'll sit where the edge of the fabric is. That's where the hole's going to be. That's it. You don't need a specific measuring marking tool for that. If you're marking the center on a large area, like here, you measure across, you measure down, you match it on the other side. Simple. But if you're close to the edge, you can just measure with this. I'll punch those. Then I'll show you measuring the other ones and marking where they are. Actually, I could do that all over on the table over there, so I'll bring you over and show you. And kick that damn trailer again, because it's in the fucking way all the time. I think you can see what's going on. Kinda. Sorta. Get some light on the subject. There. So here's what I mean. First, get everything out of the way. Lay the piece we're working on out on the table. And we know our distance we gotta measure. Oh fuck, you can't see it. Turn you down so you can see it. There. Now if you stay on the table, there you are. Okay. So we're measuring that distance in from the edge of the fabric. So there's that distance. Turn it a little bit so we can measure it this way, match it up. Once we got that, punch it through. And we got one hole. Do the same here. Measure it up. Measure it across. We pull it back a little bit. Make sure it matches in both directions. It's in the right spot. In. We know that went right through into the leather. The two up here are a little more difficult. So we can measure distance for those. We know this distance. We don't know this distance. So, fucking digging my fingers to work. Center to center. We got 4.5. Well, 4 3/8. So from that hole, 4 3/8. Get it over top of the leather so we can punch it. 4 3/8. That puts it here. At that distance. Perfect. Right there. Once it's in the right spot, knock it in place. Same for this, 4 3/8 from the hole. Got our correct distance that way. Got our correct spot there. Drop it. There's those ones. We know where this hole is going to be, so we'll put it in. And that should measure 12 inches from that hole. Just to make sure. Look at that. The mark comes up 12 inches. Perfect. Between those two holes is 12 inches. We're going to measure at 4 and 8. And that's where the next two holes are going to be. In a straight line, 4. From there, got that hole lined up, and 8 would be there. That's for 7 of the 21 holes I got to do in this thing. 22 holes I got to do in this thing, I think. So now we'll fold it all back up on the table and I'll show you what goes on there. Neatly laid out and lined up and as pretty as it can be. We've got to get the holes on the apron to line up with the holes we're going to put in the rest of the kilt. In order to do that, we have chalk. What you do is you press down, just wiggle it into place. What that should do, if it's working, is put through just enough chalk exactly where we need that hole to be. Hopefully you can see that. Same thing for all 7 holes. We don't need to worry too much about that chalk mark on the outside because the snap button is going to cover it. See? Nicely lined up and laid out, as neat and clean as we can possibly get it. Not too worried about showing you this on the pockets too, but there is one thing I want to show you on the pockets, because it's a little different. There we go, 7 holes. Or rather, 7 marks where the holes are going to be. So punch those in. And then, once those holes are punched in, we're going to be back on that green press in the corner. Alright, I'll show you when we get there. Time. Okay, so we'll be putting these in. The dies are already on the machine, are set up for the back of the snaps. So we'll do those first. Anyone even mildly acquainted with Viking shipbuilding will know what a rove is. It's a square cut washer used to reinforce the iron nails that go through the boards and lap the planks together. In this instance, I don't trust the strength of this fabric, so I'm using these in combination with the metal of the snaps to reinforce them from both sides. So we go metal, the post, the rove, through the fabric, another rove, and these go on tight. Then the cap. So they go on tight, they're fast. There, that's in. And because I reinforced it on both sides, I know it's not going to tear out. So I have had that difficulty with this material before. So I got 6 more of those to do. Especially need that one that's only going through 1 layer, as opposed to this hole here, which is going through 3 layers. See? So I'll continue with this. You've seen that one. There it is in properly. It's not coming out. I'll finish that. Then I'll show you putting the caps on. For the caps, point of note is you only put a rove on one side of the cap because you don't want it to be visible from the outside of the garment. First thing we got to do though is swap our dies, and the correct ones, putting the caps in. Easy to take them out, the top one threads out. Bottom one just sits in loose. Put the bottom one in, top one in. Another difference with this set of dies is, as I grab the garment, difference with this set of dies is you don't put everything together and then put it on. Take the back of the cap and it snaps onto the top die. Cap itself goes through the material. Hey, look at that, it covers up the chalk so you can't see it. 1 rove on the back of it to hold it in place and to reinforce the fabric from behind. Lay it in place, keep your fingers out of the way, line it up. There you go. Looks good on the outside, looks good on the inside, it's solid. And if we can find the other end of this garment, there we go. That's what it matches up with. Snaps, comes undone. Alright, I'll put the other 6 of those in. Yeah, you can see that. I'll put the other 6 of those in. and then I'll show you the next step. So I hadn't shown you how to make these yet, so I may as well. For each snap button, I need 2 rows on the back, on the post, and 1 on the cap. So for the 4 buttons on the kilt pockets, I need a total of 12 rows. Here's how we do that. These are 1-inch squares. These strips are cut 3/4 inch wide. So I line them up. With that line there. I know this is 1.25 inches wide. So I line that up 1 inch back from the edge, or 2 inches back from the edge. That means these squares will all be 3/4 of an inch. 4. I'll do that for you one more time. And then all I do afterwards is punch a hole in each one. It's a little bit time consuming, but that's fine because it reinforces the snaps against, or reinforces against a weak fabric. Which means you can get away with more variety in the types of fabric you're making the garment out of if you reinforce the snaps. There we go. So I'll do all the rest of that. I'll cut them. I'll put the snaps in the pockets, and then I'll show you the finished garment. Dealing with these pockets. So we can't exactly lay this flat and punch a hole straight through it. That's what this is for. Whoa! Almost lost you there. Alright. I'll set you up where you can see what's going on. Try not to knock you over again. So we lay this as flat as we can, which ain't saying much. But these snaps really do work well now. There we are. So we laid this as flat as we can. Pocket in. There's a pocket. Let that hang over the edge. We can't slam right through it. Put a hole through the rest of the garment. So we take this strip of leather, just put one end of it in there. We got to mark where that hole's got to be. Got the right tool for the job. Now we know we're just punching into this and not punching through the rest of the garment. There we are. Same thing on the other side. Make sure it's above the table and that we're not going through anything other than what we're supposed to. There. I'll put the rest of that together and I'll show you when it's done. So that's all done. Done dealing with that, done dealing with the pockets. And here we have the finished stock sizable 50 to 60 inch waist kilt for the big fat guys. I don't know. The next set are on the opposite end of the spectrum. The 3 that I'm doing here are 20 to 30 inch sizable. So they're tiny. And they're going to be difficult. But I'll do them. Because I'm getting paid to do them. So that's today's work. One more piece complete. They actually don't look bad. The one I made for myself, I mean, they're comfortable to wear. It's my pattern. So, the designer, as we'll call her, has to come to me to get these specific products. She could take the effort and time to take one apart and copy the pattern, and I'd be okay with that because that's putting work in. But she doesn't do that. And I appreciate that she doesn't do that. So she comes to me to get kilts. And, yeah, they seem to be reasonably popular, so as long as they sell, she'll keep coming to me for them, and she'll keep paying me to make them. I don't know how much she sells them for. I know if she supplies all the material, the labor's $75, and that gives me a little bit better than minimum wage. So, one more piece in the can. Talk to you the next time.